Sunday night in Dallas, it's the Dallas Cowboys versus the Green Bay Packers, but this isn't just any regular season matchup. This is deeply personal. If it wasn't personal before the Micah Parsons trade, the Micah Parsons trade just amplified it 10 times more. This is about betrayal, broken promises, and one man's quest for revenge wearing the wrong shade of green. Micah Parsons is coming home, and Jerry Jones just lit the fuse on what was already going to be an explosive reunion. Let me take you back to late August. The Cowboys and their superstar pass rusher had been dancing around a contract extension for months. Jerry thought he had a handshake deal. Parsons wanted his agents involved. And when Jerry refused to go through the proper channels, everything fell apart faster than the Cowboys defense without their best player. On August 28th, in a move that shocked the NFL world, the Cowboys traded Parsons to Green Bay for 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark. The Packers immediately made Parsons the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history with a 4-year, $188 million contract, the exact kind of money that Jerry Jones wasn't willing to pay. Guess you could say that resulted in this Cowboys fan spiraling, coming up with ways to try to rationalize one of the most painful trades I've ever had to experience as a fan. To summarize, the way I've coped with this situation was we weren't going to win a Super Bowl with Micah Parsons and allocating 53% of our salary cap to Micah, Dak, and CD. Now we're not going to win a Super Bowl without Micah Parsons, but at least we have 2 first-round picks to go with it. I personally believe exactly what Rachel Nichols says here.
If they first extended Dak, they would have saved $49 million. If they first extended CeeDee Lamb, they would have saved $14 million. And if he had extended Micah last year, he could have saved $36 million. And that all adds up to about $99 million you could have been paying other players.
If the Dallas Cowboys paid Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Micah Parsons on time and didn't do this little dance just to keep their names in headlines, I do believe a Super Bowl could have been built on the backs of these 3 stars. But in the NFL, you can't win a Super Bowl whenever your quarterback is getting 21% of the salary cap, when your star edge rusher is getting paid more than Patrick Mahomes, and you have CeeDee Lamb making $1 million less a year than Justin Jefferson. If we had an owner that didn't like doing this,
the Cowboys are a soap opera 365
The
days.
stream will begin
When it gets slow,
momentarily.
I'll stir it up.
I do think the Cowboys could have won a Super Bowl with these 3. And this is my firm opinion on the matter for those of you guys that missed all the content we made on this. Now, 1 month later, Parsons returned to AT&T Stadium. You thought Jerry Jones, who was on record saying,
If we're not being looked at, then I'll do my part to get us looked at.
would miss an opportunity to generate controversy from Parsons returning to AT&T Stadium. When reporters asked Jerry Jones if the Cowboys would show a tribute video for Parsons, you know, the guy who had 52.5 sacks in 4 seasons, made 4 Pro Bowls, led the NFL in pass rush win rate each and every single season he was a Dallas Cowboy, Jerry Jones's response was ice cold. I don't think that's appropriate this way. If it was Emmitt Smith coming back, that would be a different story. Think about that for a second. There's no tribute video, no acknowledgement, nothing. Jerry's basically treating this like Parsons was some practice squad player who got cut in training camp, not a 2-time All-Pro who literally changed games single-handedly. Jerry went on to say, I think Micah's got enough welcome out there. We just need to show we've got antidotes for that. Meanwhile, Parsons' reaction to this entire situation was different altogether. This was his reaction to Jerry Jones not giving him a tribute.
There's a lot of things I can consider disrespectful throughout this process, but I wouldn't say the tribute is one of them. You know, I just think there's hard feelings maybe there for them, but you know, for me, I'm happy where I'm at, and we got a really good football team, so I guess I can give you my tribute and a win.
His mentality to once the game starts.
Like, once the game starts, who's going to be worried about any trade? Like, it's just me against them 5 men. We got one common goal, and that's to win the football game. And how we win the football game is winning the line of scrimmage and affecting Dak and how good he's been playing this year. So fans and media is going to get off on the pre-draft, the hype, and all that, but once the game's ain't no one talking about the trade. We talking about winning a football game.
And he created a vivid picture for Dallas Cowboy fans, which was going to be painful. When he was asked about potentially sacking his former quarterback and close friend Dak Prescott, Parsons didn't hold back.
It's gonna be painful. You know what I mean? Dak's my guy. You know, he was always like a good mentor for me. But you know what it is. I always told him if I ever faced him that, you know, it'll be a great matchup. So I'm excited to see what Sunday brings us. So
painful. That's the word he chose. Not difficult, not emotional. but painful. And you know what? He might mean that literally for Dak, because the Cowboys' offensive line is absolutely decimated right now. Let's talk about what each team was bringing into this showdown. The Cowboys were limping into this game with a 1-2 record, and I mean literally limping. CeeDee Lamb injured his ankle early in their Week 3 loss to the Bears. Their first-round guard Tyler Booker is out for 4 to 6 weeks. Center Cooper Beebe is on injured reserve, and their defense without Parsons, it's been a disaster movie. Through 3 games, they're allowing 30.7 points per game. That's 27th in the league. They literally gave Caleb Williams his breakout performance the week prior, and prior to that, they barely beat a Russell Wilson-led New York Giants team where he threw for his career high in passing yards the week before he ended up getting benched. You can't make this up. The Cowboys have managed just 3 sacks in 3 games. 3. Parsons alone had 1.5 sacks in his first 2 games with Green Bay. And don't get me wrong, there were lowlights. You know, like this clip of Quinshon Judkins casually laying out Micah Parsons versus the Cleveland Browns. But that outlier aside, the Packers defense with Parsons has been incredible. They're leading the entire NFL in fewest points allowed per game at just 14.7. The contrast couldn't be more obvious. But here's the thing, the Packers aren't coming in feeling invincible. They just suffered one of the most embarrassing losses you'll see all season. Leading 10-0 against the previously winless Cleveland Browns with less than 4 minutes left, they completely collapsed. The Browns scored all of their points in the final 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Brandon McManus had a potential game-winning field goal blocked, and Cleveland hit a 55-yarder as time expired to win 13-0.
And sometimes, just like today, you the bed. That's just the reality of it.
The betting lines coming into this game tell you everything you need to know about how this game is viewed. The Packers opened as 4.5 point favorites, but the line has swelled to as high as 6.5 with nearly 100% of the money coming in on Green Bay. Vegas knows what we all know. The Cowboys defense can't stop anyone right now, and without CeeDee Lamb, their offense becomes incredibly one-dimensional. But this game isn't really about X's and O's, it's about emotion, it's about pride, it's about Jerry Jones watching the best defensive player his team has drafted in the last decade terrorize his franchise quarterback while wearing the wrong uniform. Remember, Jerry compared this trade to the Herschel Walker deal.
Did an outstanding job for us for 4 years, and a little bit of the way Herschel Walker may have had his greatest contribution to the Cowboys. What he brought to us when he left could be a tremendous thing for our fans and the success of this team.
The Herschel Walker trade helped build a dynasty in the 90s, but that took years to pay off. Right now in 2025, the Cowboys are watching their defense get shredded while Parsons anchors the best defense in football. Jerry even said this week, over the years when I saw Micah was mitigated, when I saw teams playing pretty well, we'll be looking to try to run those kinds of plays. Essentially saying they know Micah Parsons' weaknesses. That's bulletin board material if I've ever heard it. You don't think Parsons saw that? You don't think that he's been waiting all week to show Jerry exactly what kind of antidote the Cowboys don't have? Here's what makes this even more fascinating. This trade wasn't just about money. Jerry Jones refused to negotiate through Parsons' agent David Mulligetta, and that burned the bridge beyond repair. It got personal. And coming into Sunday Night Football, this game got personal on the field. The Packers knew that they couldn't afford another letdown like Cleveland. They're trying to prove that they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. The Cowboys, they're trying to prove that Jerry was right to trade away their best player. Coming into this game, Dallas has led for just 4.9% of their offensive snaps this season, 29th in the league. They're constantly playing from behind, which means Dak has to drop back and throw, which means, well, you see where this is going. Coming into this game, Micah Parsons is expected to have a feast. So how would this game actually go? Well, let's break it down. Green Bay would start this much anticipated matchup with the ball, meaning that Micah Parsons was going to have to wait to see the field. But despite that, you could tell the crowd was ready. AT&T Stadium was rocking after a solid first 2 plays from the Dallas defense to start this game. The lack of Micah Parsons in white was already showing, because on 3rd down, Dallas decided to only rush 4, and nobody got through, giving Jordan Love all day to make a play before eventually finding rookie wide receiver Matthew Golden for a huge 46-yard gain early in the game. It's kind of crazy because I've been a fan of football for all my life. I don't think I've ever seen a scenario where a quarterback threw it to a spot of the field where he had 2 2 wide receivers open and only 1 defensive back over that side of the field. But that's what happens when you force your secondary to keep up for that long by applying zero pressure on the quarterback. Just a few plays later, Green Bay would find the end zone by the way of a Romeo Doubs fade route on the goal line, and the Packers would take an early 7-0 lead. Dallas not being able to get into the Green Bay backfield whatsoever, despite Green Bay missing 3 starting offensive linemen, is a glaring issue with this team. And it's only a problem because they decided to trade one of the best pass rushers in football without having anybody to replace his production. Once Dallas got the ball, the pressure was on Dak Prescott to answer back and take back the momentum that Green Bay stole early. However, that's the complete opposite of what would happen. On 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down of an opening drive 4 and out, Brian Schottenheimer decided to hand the ball off to Javonte Williams, who would only record 6 yards on 3 attempts, giving the ball back to Green Bay and giving them a chance to make this ugly. Funny enough, on those 3 runs, Dallas decided to run away from Micah Parsons. They know how much of a threat he is, and they know how much he can change a game in the backfield. But Green Bay has talent elsewhere, and Quay Walker made a hell of a play on 3rd down to stall this drive. On this next Green Bay drive, everything was normal, with Green Bay driving the ball down the field, until one of the healthy linemen for the Packers, Jordan Morgan, was called for a holding penalty, forcing a 2nd and 18. Jordan Love would airmail the 2nd down throw, and on 3rd down, Love would find rookie Savion Williams underneath, who would go for 16, almost making it down to the 1st down marker due to Dallas's soft zone coverage. Dallas got very lucky on this drive, and they got even luckier that Matt LaFleur decided to punt at midfield instead of going for it on 4th and 2. The Dallas defense needed a huge penalty to get off the field, which is absolutely a concern, but there was a possibility that it would give them the momentum that they needed to get some natural stops against this high-powered Green Bay offense. However, none of that would really matter if Dallas's offense couldn't get it going, and that wouldn't happen with Javonte Williams carrying the ball on every play. So they came out passing the ball, and it definitely worked better than their first drive, but more passing downs meant more opportunities for Micah Parsons to sack Dak, and boy, did he get close. Despite the increase in passing downs, Dallas's drives still stalled out, and they would end up punting the ball from their own 26-yard line. They gave Green Bay way too many opportunities to blow this game out early on. In their next opportunity to get a stop, Dallas had Green Bay in a 3rd and 4 situation, and they would actually end up making a huge play with Trevon Diggs picking the ball off on the sideline. But unfortunately for Dallas, this play wouldn't count because they started the play with 12 men on the field. This was an absolutely costly play for the Cowboys because, of course, Jordan Love and the Packers would drive down the field, with Romeo Doubs scoring yet another goal line touchdown to put the Packers up 2 possessions early in the 2nd quarter. The Green Bay extra point was blocked and returned all the way to the other side of the field, which gave Dallas at least a few points on the board, nullifying all the momentum that Green Bay just built. But they still had an angry Micah Parsons on the other side of the ball looking to take it back. Well, Green Bay didn't need Micah Parsons to make a play in order to get the ball back, because despite Dak Prescott finding Jalen Tolbert for a huge 3rd down conversion, it would come back due to an illegal formation penalty, forcing a 3rd and 12 that Dallas could not convert. This was followed by one of the most insane hits I've ever seen on the punt return, and this doesn't add much to the game, but I had to show you anyway. After stopping Green Bay, Dallas would start their next drive on the 5-yard line after a beauty of a punt from Daniel Whelan, and somehow this is what Dallas needed to finally start driving the ball downfield, because Dak Prescott would lead the Cowboys down the field, putting together an absolutely methodical 95-yard drive that ended with a rushing touchdown from the man himself at the goal line to bring the Cowboys within 4 to end the first half. Plus, Dallas got the ball back after the half, so this touchdown was absolutely massive. One thing to point out about this drive was the lack of Micah Parsons. Whether Micah was doubled or Dak got the ball out quick, Micah Parsons was rendered useless on this drive, which is ultimately the reason that Dallas was able to find some offensive success. With only 40 seconds left in the half, everyone thought that Green Bay was going to try to take it easy and protect the ball, but that's not what happened at all. On 1st and 15 with less than 20 seconds remaining, James Houston would force a fumble on a Jordan Love sack, giving Dallas the ball in Brandon Aubrey range with minimal time left. Dallas wouldn't need to go to Brandon Aubrey though. On the first play of the possession, Dak would find George Pickens in the end zone to give Dallas a ridiculously unlikely lead at the half. half, and I genuinely could not believe what I was watching. After looking like a CFL team in the first half, the Dallas Cowboys drove down the field, scored, and then got the ball back with a strip sack despite losing their best pass rusher, who was watching from the other sideline, and then took the lead, ready to immediately get the ball back and look to add even more points. Green Bay came into this game as a 7-point favorite and came into the second quarter as a heavy favorite, but ultimately, Dallas ended the first half with the lead, looking to win the Micah Parsons Bowl. To start the second half, Dallas would look to capitalize on the momentum that they built in the last 60 seconds of the first half, but they would fail to do so after a George Pickens drop and a failed moonshot to Jalen Tolbert, giving Green Bay the ball and an opportunity to answer back without the pressure of the clock on their backs. Green Bay ultimately would answer back after a face mask penalty nullified a third down sack on Jordan Love, followed by a couple of big plays and capped off by a Josh Jacobs touchdown where he was quite literally untouched on third down. Green Bay answered back perfectly, and the game was completely worth the hype so far, despite Micah Parsons not being involved in the outcome very much. Micah would continue to not be involved very much over the next drive, as Dak would drive his team down the field and find Jake Ferguson in the end zone to take the lead back. And what was a very back and forth half up until this point, Micah would re-aggravate his back injury on this drive, and he would end up coming back into the game. A scary sight for sure though. The back and forth second half would continue on the very next drive, after an 18-yard touchdown from Josh Jacobs, his second of the game, gave Green Bay a 27-23 lead in the fourth quarter. This is about the point in the game where Micah Parsons seemed due to make a big impact on this game. It was only a matter of time. Dallas knew that too, so on their next drive, they decided that they would be hard doubling Micah at every single chance they got. But on a crucial third down, Micah was left in single coverage against Jordan Morgan, and my God, he almost did it. Micah destroyed Morgan at the line of scrimmage, threw him to the side, and almost got Dak with a huge strip sack. The only reason this didn't happen is because Dak Prescott, the elite quarterback that he is, stepped up into the pocket well and got the ball out quick. This was just pure domination from Micah, however, and despite him not being on the stat sheet thus far, his impact was undeniable, and this is coming from a Dallas Cowboy fan. Still, Dallas took advantage of the plays where Micah was not on the field and eventually found the end zone with Javonte Williams out of Wildcat to give them the lead once again in this unbelievably entertaining primetime game that was way closer than I could have ever imagined. At this point, we were nearing the end of the game, and with Green Bay down 3 and in possession of the ball, it was time for Jordan Love to show the world why the Green Bay Packers were contenders. After a long drive that brought the clock down under 2 minutes, Jordan Love would find Romeo Doubs in the end zone for the third time on 3rd and 10 to put Green Bay up by 4, and most importantly, force Dallas to score a touchdown if they want to win the game, which is absolutely massive because we all know how automatic Brandon Aubrey would have been. It didn't matter one bit though, because Dallas immediately came back and scored on a huge play to George Pickens where he tiptoed on the sidelines. After a big return from Kevontae Turpin that brought the ball back out to the 50-yard line, Dallas would go up by 3, giving Green Bay the ball back with just over 40 seconds left and all 3 timeouts left. Jordan Love had gotten the job done all game long, but driving down the field here would be his most difficult task yet. On the first play of the drive, Josh Jacobs would take a swing pass 25 yards to the Dallas 49-yard line, and suddenly they were about 15 yards out of field goal range. Green Bay would end up getting those yards, running the clock down and putting the game on Brandon McManus's foot. Now, if that blocked extra point touchdown didn't happen earlier, this game would have been tied, but it wasn't, forcing Green Bay to play for overtime instead of the win. Lining up for a 53-yard field goal, the veteran kicker absolutely nailed it, sending the game into overtime and giving fans everywhere an absolute treat on Sunday Night Football. Green Bay won the toss and chose to kick, giving Dak Prescott the ball to start overtime, and man, did Dak make some magic happen. On 2nd and 7 at the Green Bay 39-yard line, Dak sits in the pocket, doesn't see anyone downfield, looks to roll to his right, but sees Micah Parsons directly in his face. Still, he does his best to evade the rush, throws up an absolute prayer, and somehow finds Jalen Tolbert at the sideline for an unbelievable 30-plus yard heave to put Dallas in prime position to score for a touchdown to start overtime. I gotta admit, I think this may have been the best throw of Dak Prescott's career. Just 2 plays later, Dak looks like he's in prime position to take it in himself for some crucial overtime points. But Micah Parsons says no and finally gets his moment in this game, sacking Dak Prescott and saving a touchdown, which turned out to be massive after Green Bay forced a Brandon Aubrey field goal, giving Green Bay the chance to win the game with a touchdown. Now, Green Bay's drive was absolutely insane. Dallas would force Green Bay to a game-deciding 4th down on their drive, but Jordan Love would come through, finding Matthew Golden sitting in a zone in the middle of the field to keep the game alive for the Packers. Love would end up driving the ball into the red zone, but would fail to find the end zone. Luckily, the last ball he threw hit the ground with exactly 1 second left, giving Brandon McManus an opportunity to hit a field goal and end this game in a tie, which he would do. Somehow, this game ending in a tie was poetic. Micah Parsons did his job and got his momentous sack that forced Dallas to settle for 3 in overtime. There's no question about it. If he doesn't get this sack, the Dallas Cowboys would have won the game. Both offenses still put up 40 points in a game where the main focus was one of the best defensive players in football. An overtime shootout that literally resulted in a tie was not on my bingo card. Regardless, that was one of the most fun football games that I've watched in a long time. Originally, the point of this video was on Micah Parsons and the drama surrounding him returning to Dallas. Ultimately, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, considering the fact that our defense can't stop a nosebleed, we desperately need a pass rusher, I do feel a little optimistic about the fact that we were able to put up 40 on Green Bay without CeeDee Lamb. That combined with the fact that we still did hurt the Green Bay Packers draft positioning by tying with them. They didn't win, they didn't lose, it was a tie. I guess in some ways that's a victory, but let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about this bizarre game. Also guys, you may have noticed I'm suited up for this video. I missed a large chunk of one of my close friends' engagement celebrations in order to record this post-game recap for you guys. So if you guys could show love to my friends P and J in the comment section down below, it would mean a lot to me. And aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.